The car door slammed harder than he intended. Adrian Cole didn't wait for the driver. "I'll take it from here," he muttered, already striding toward the gate, his jaw tight, his breath uneven, not from the short walk, but from everything boiling inside him. His house stood ahead, tall and silent, lights dimmed in a way that didn't feel normal. Not for a place that was always staffed, always active, always controlled. Something was off. And he felt it the moment his shoes touched the marble driveway. If you think you already know what he's about to find, trust me, you don't. Stick with this till the end, and when it hits, I want to see your thoughts in the comments. Adrian didn't knock. He didn't call ahead. He didn't announce his return. He pushed the door open with his own key, quietly, carefully, like a man stepping into enemy territory. Because in his mind, that's exactly what this had become. Enemy territory. 2 days ago, he was halfway across the world, seated in a glass office overlooking the ocean, finalizing a deal that would bring in millions. Everything was going according to his plan. Controlled. Calculated. Profitable. Then his phone buzzed. One message. Unknown number. "Sir, I don't think everything is okay at your house." He ignored it at first. People always wanted something. But then came another. "I see someone coming in often. Not staff. Thought you should know." That was when the shift began. That quiet, dangerous shift. He called the house immediately. No answer. He called again. Still nothing. Then he called Lena, the maid. Straight to voicemail. That's when his mind started building its own story. And Adrian had never been wrong about people before. "Don't tell me," he muttered now under his breath as he stepped fully into the living room. The air inside felt still. Too still. No television sound. No movement. No greeting. "Lena," he called softly. No response. His grip tightened around his phone. This house was never quiet like this. Never. His heart began to pound, not from fear, no. Adrian Cole didn't fear things like this. This was anger. Cold, controlled anger building up behind his ribs. He took another step. Then another. And that's when he heard it. A voice. Soft. Gentle. Coming from down the hallway. He froze. "Just a little more, okay? Please, for me." Adrian's eyes narrowed instantly. His chest tightened. That wasn't a phone call. That wasn't the television. That was a conversation. His pulse spiked. So it's true. The thought landed heavy in his mind. Slowly, silently, he moved toward the hallway, each step deliberate, each breath shallow. "You're doing well today," the voice continued. "Better than yesterday. I'm proud of you." Proud? Adrian's jaw clenched so hard it almost hurt. Who was she talking to? And why like that? He reached the corner and stopped just before the corridor that led to his father's room. His father. The realization hit him suddenly, sharply. Samuel. His chest tightened again, but not in the same way. More complicated. More uncomfortable. He hadn't spoken to his father properly in, what? Weeks? Months? No, that wasn't fair. He sent money. He paid for everything. Care, medication, comfort, everything his father could possibly need was handled. He just wasn't physically present. Because he had responsibilities. Important ones. Deals didn't close themselves. Empires didn't run on emotions. "Just one more spoon," the voice said again, softer this time. Adrian leaned slightly toward the doorway, his heartbeat now loud in his ears. He expected to walk in and catch something. A stranger. A betrayal. Something that would justify the fire already burning inside him. He pushed the door open. And then, he stopped. Everything inside him just stopped. Lena sat beside the bed. Not standing. Not distracted. Sitting close. Close enough that their shoulders almost touched. In her hand was a spoon. In front of her, his father. Weaker than he remembered. Smaller. His head tilted slightly as Lena carefully lifted the spoon to his mouth. "Come on," she whispered gently. "Just a little more." Samuel hesitated, then slowly opened his mouth. Adrian blinked. Once. Twice. This wasn't what he expected. This wasn't. Lena wiped the corner of Samuel's mouth with a cloth, careful, patient, like she'd done it 100 times before. Good, she said with a small smile. See? That wasn't so hard. Samuel let out a faint breath, something close to a chuckle. I'm trying, he murmured weakly. And then, something broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Inside Adrian. Because he couldn't remember the last time he heard his father sound like that. Not tired. Not distant. But engaged. Alive. He stayed where he was unseen. Watching. You remind me of someone, Samuel said slowly. Lena tilted her head. Who? There was a pause. A younger version of my son. Adrian's chest tightened sharply. Lena smiled faintly. He must be a good man. Samuel didn't answer immediately. And that silence was louder than anything else. Adrian stepped back. His breathing changed. Slower. Heavier. Something was shifting. And he didn't like it. He turned slightly, leaning against the wall outside the room, running a hand over his face. No, he muttered under his breath. No, this doesn't make sense. Where was the betrayal? Where was the problem? Where was the thing he had flown across continents to confront? Instead, he had just walked into a moment that didn't need him at all. And that realization? It unsettled him more than anything else could have. If you're still watching at this point, I want you to pause and think, have you ever been so sure about something, only to realize you were completely wrong? Drop a comment. Let's talk. Inside the room, Lena continued softly, he loves you, you know. Samuel smiled faintly. I know, he said. He just doesn't have time. That line hit harder than anything Adrian had heard all night. He shut his eyes. And for the first time since he got that message, the anger started to fade, replaced by something far more uncomfortable. Memory. He remembered the last time he visited. Standing by the door. Phone in hand. Half listening. I'll send someone, he had said quickly. Anything you need, just tell Lena. He hadn't sat. Hadn't stayed. Hadn't even looked properly. Because he had somewhere else to be. Always somewhere else to be. Adrian pushed himself off the wall slowly. His legs felt heavier now. Different. Like he wasn't walking toward a confrontation anymore, but toward something he didn't fully understand. He stepped into the room. Lena turned immediately, startled. Sir. She stood up quickly, nearly dropping the spoon. I didn't know you were back. Adrian raised a hand slightly. Not to stop her, but to steady himself. How long? He asked quietly. His voice wasn't angry. That alone confused her. Sir, how long has he needed help like this? Lena hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward Samuel, then back to Adrian. A while, she said carefully. How long? He repeated. There was no sharpness in his tone. Just something else. Something heavier. Months, she admitted. Months. The word echoed in his mind. Why wasn't I told? He asked. Lena swallowed. We tried, sir. That made him look up sharply. Tried. You were always busy, she said softly. Your assistant said not to disturb you unless it was urgent. Adrian let out a slow breath. And, suddenly, everything started connecting. All the missed calls. The delayed messages. The filtered information. The distance he thought he was managing had grown into something else entirely. Neglect. Samuel shifted slightly on the bed. Adrian, he called weakly. Adrian froze. That voice. He hadn't heard it call his name like that in so long. He stepped closer. Yes. I'm here. Samuel looked at him, eyes searching, as if confirming something real. You came back early. I did. There was so much he could say. So many explanations. So many defenses. But none of them felt right. Not now. Not after what he had just seen. Samuel gave a faint nod. That's good. That's it. That's all. No anger. No accusation. Just acceptance. And somehow, that made it worse. Adrian sat down slowly beside the bed. Awkwardly. Like he didn't quite belong there. Like he didn't know how. Lena stepped back quietly, giving space. But Adrian noticed something then. The way Samuel's eyes followed her for a second. Not with dependence, but with familiarity. Comfort. That stung. more than it should have. You've been taking care of him, Adrian said, not looking at Lena. Yes, sir. Why? The question slipped out before he could stop it. Lena blinked. Sir, you're paid to work, he said. Not to do all this. Lena hesitated again. Then she said something simple. Because he needed it. No explanation. No performance. Just truth. And Adrian had no response for that. None. He looked at his father again. Really looked this time. The thinner frame. The slower movements. The quiet strength. And suddenly, the image of the man he used to be, the one who carried him as a child, who showed up, who stayed, felt very far away. When did it get this bad? Adrian asked softly. Samuel smiled faintly. It's not that bad. That's not what I asked. Samuel chuckled weakly. You always were like that. Straight to the point. Adrian didn't smile. I should have been here. The words came out before he could filter them. Samuel looked at him. Long. Carefully. Then he said, You're here now. That should have felt comforting. But it didn't. Because Adrian knew, being here now didn't erase everything before. Silence settled in the room. Heavy. Real. And for the first time in a long time, Adrian didn't reach for his phone. Didn't check the time. Didn't think about the next deal. He just sat there. Present. Uncomfortable. But present. And that, in itself, was new. Very new. Minutes passed. Or maybe longer. Adrian wasn't counting. For once. He wasn't measuring time. He glanced at Lena. You can rest, he said quietly. I'll stay. She nodded slowly. But before she left, Samuel reached out slightly. Don't go too far, he murmured. Lena smiled gently. I'll be right outside. Adrian noticed that too. Of course he did. And this time, he didn't feel anger. Just understanding. He turned back to his father. And for a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Adrian said, quietly, almost unsure of himself. What were you eating? Samuel blinked. Then smiled faintly. Soup. Adrian picked up the spoon. His hand paused midair. This felt unfamiliar. Strange. But he didn't stop. All right, he said softly. Let's try again. Samuel watched him. Not with surprise. But with something else. Something deeper. And slowly, he opened his mouth. Adrian fed him. Carefully. Awkwardly at first. Then a little steadier. And in that quiet room, something shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But meaningfully. The kind of shift you don't notice immediately, but feel long after. If this story is touching you even a little, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Because sometimes, we all need it. Adrian didn't fix everything that night. He didn't suddenly become perfect. But he stayed. He didn't leave the next morning. Or the next. He canceled meetings. Delayed deals. Ignored calls that once felt urgent. Because for the first time, something else mattered more. Presence. Real presence. Not money. Not provision. Not control. Just being there. And slowly, day by day, he learned something he had never prioritized before. How to sit. How to listen. How to care. Not efficiently. Not strategically. But genuinely. And one evening, as he sat beside his father again, Samuel looked at him and said, You've changed. Adrian shook his head slightly. No. I just finally showed up. And maybe that was all it ever needed. He crossed continents to catch a betrayal. But the truth? There was no betrayal waiting for him at home. Just a quiet reminder that sometimes the people we think we're providing for are simply waiting for us to be present. If this story stayed with you till the end, drop a comment and tell me what part hit you the most. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because the next one might just change the way you see something in your own life.